What's up, everybody? So we got some big boxing news. Vladimir Klitschko has decided to retire at the tender age of 41 years old. There are a lot of thoughts that I have on this, but first, here is his words. I deliberately took a few weeks to make my decision to make sure I had enough distance from the fight at Wembley Stadium. Of course, he's talking about Anthony Joshua. As an amateur and a pro boxer, I have achieved everything I dreamed of. And now I want to start my second career after sports. I would have never imagined that I would have such a long and incredibly successful boxing career. I'm very thankful for this. Thanks to everyone who has always supported me, especially my family, my team, and my many fans. His manager went on to say, he has always emphasized that he wanted to retire if he didn't have enough motivation anymore. Therefore, this is definitely the right decision. That part is very interesting to me. So a pro boxer, an athlete, is always going to say the right things upon their retirement. It's interesting that his manager would say, I'm not sure if he had the motivation anymore, and he would retire if he had the motivation. It's just very interesting because what I saw in the Tyson Fury fight, which he lost, and the Anthony Joshua fight, which he lost, and granted it goes hand in hand with age and also not having Emanuel Steward, the late Emanuel Steward, who he hired a long time ago and went on this super impressive run where he was unbeaten from 2006 to 2015. It is a culmination of all of those things. Because in the Tyson Fury fight, granted, Fury is one of the most awkward heavyweights when it comes to styles that you will ever see. Awkward and unorthodox. It's a fight that Vladimir Klitschko should have won. I was shocked when he lost. He was certainly devastated when he lost. The Anthony Joshua fight, even though he got knocked down in the 6th and then was knocked out in the 11th round, I believe, a fight that absolutely everyone should see, boxing fan or non-boxing fan. At that age, for Klitschko to do what he did to a rising star like Anthony Joshua, must watch. It was one of the best heavyweight fights I've seen, at least in the last 8 years. So in that fight, he exposed Anthony Joshua. He exposed Anthony Joshua for just being a power puncher who can come in on the inside but can't fight at a distance. That is what I saw. If he had Emanuel Steward there, this is such a different ballgame for Vladimir Klitschko. Out of Kronk Gym in Detroit, Michigan. The only loss that him and Emanuel Steward had once he hired Emanuel Steward was the first one. And the reason he hired Emanuel Steward, this is like the quick lesson, the history lesson, is that he was getting knocked down like crazy earlier on in his career. He did not understand ring generalship. He did not understand how to set a certain pace for the fight. He just didn't get it. He was a skillful boxer. He had loads of potential. But then when he hired Emanuel Steward, it just clicked. It was like white and rice. Spaghetti and meatball. It clicked. And that's why they had this incredible run. And he taught him how to fight at a distance. He taught him that you don't need to go in and try to knock guys out while also getting hit. You can be a boxer and of the school of hit and don't get hit. And many people thought that Vladimir Klitschko was this boring boxer because he went in there, he worked his jab. I remember he knocked down Alexander Povetkin with a jab in the early rounds of that fight, who he destroyed. But he used his jab, which isn't necessarily appeasing a lot of the fans, but it appeased many that don't prefer the slugfest and like seeing a chess match and like seeing singles and doubles and not the home run. That's what Vladimir Klitschko was. But even with those singles and doubles, it seemed like every time towards the later rounds, he would hit for the cycle by hitting a bomb. He avenged his loss to Layman Brewster. But the main point was, and I think that was in like 2004, but nonetheless, what I saw with Vladimir Klitschko over the years was just patience. Setting the pace, working behind your jab, throwing a devastating left hook, but developing it. Using your jab as your fastball and then unloading with a devastating hook like a curveball or a slider. That was Vladimir Klitschko in a nutshell, and he did it successfully for so many years. I told you about from 2006 to 2015. He goes out on top, and here's his record. 64-5, 53 knockouts, didn't have a loss for 11 fucking years. He is one of the most underappreciated boxers of all time. Because again, it was not appeasing to a lot of the fans. And it's unfortunate, and it sucks. But it is what it is. His fight against Calvin Brock didn't look amazing, but then he came on and destroyed Calvin Brock. Samuel Peter came on late, and then he just went on that impressive run over and over and over and over and over again. For that Anthony Joshua fight, just a few other numbers. He earned 30 million pounds. So did Anthony Joshua. He had 25 world title fights, 18 consecutive title defenses. Again, one of the most underappreciated boxers of all time. And the only guy that's ahead of him is some guy, I believe it was Joe Louis, who was ahead of him. But nonetheless, his personal life, he has a baby with Hayden Panettiere. Their daughter Kaya is 2 years old. Of course, his brother Vitaly was a 10-year-old champion. This is boxing lore. This is the greats of the sweet science who are just so underappreciated. But to that, if you have it, raise your glass. Free plug, fuck. Raise it for Vladimir Klitschko, because this was impressive, and I really don't know if we will see this again. Here's my last point, and I want to hear all your thoughts in the comment section below. Give this a thumbs up as well. Was he too good that he shit on the competition in the heavyweight division, or was the heavyweight division just in a lull? I think the former. And here's the thing. If Vladimir lost to Samuel Peter, and then he came back to beat Samuel Peter, and then he lost to, let's just say, for example, David Haye. Oh, God, that fight sucked. David Haye didn't show up. He just fell because he wanted out of the fight. And he had trilogies. Would that have made the heavyweight division better? Potentially, but this was a guy inflicting his will and his dominance on an entire division. Yeah, they didn't have the Mike Tysons, the Lennox Lewises in their prime when Vladimir was in his. But I think it just shows how great of a fighter he was. So let me know your thoughts. Tweet me at Rick Strawn and subscribe to TYT Sports.